This is Star with the Star Blooms. I don't know if it recorded that. Pieces is Star with the Star Blooms. So I shared a live just a second ago, and in the live, basically I was channeling my conversation, my internal. I keep on saying eternal, but I'm trying to say internal. My internal dialogue, okay, that was basically happening. That where I was basically 22. Thank you, Spirit. Where I was basically going back and forth, and I was trying to convince myself that it wasn't necessary. And then I basically stated, as I was sharing the channel, how a lot of the times I didn't want to follow the lead and the charge of my higher self because it would make me feel vulnerable. And as I was basically sitting within myself just a second ago, I basically processed the recognition of that statement and how so many times we find ourselves being called into a place of positioning or posturing that aligns us with something that makes us be at this rate of discomfort because we may not necessarily be okay. Ooh, we may not necessarily be okay with the charge, with the cause for the effect. However, when we follow through, there's always this divine reward and insight that comes and follows it as well. With our connections to ourselves, a lot of the times being authentic can be the most fearful thing when you recognize that you've constantly been listed in a rate of where you've been asking for permission. I was about to say permission, participation. It's where you've been asking for permission to move or to be confirmation. Confirmation, Spirit. Thank you. Or where you've basically, and then my phone said, that's so crazy. Or where you've been waiting for participation from the community, right? When it's you and you, sometimes you'll show up in the rates of where you've been limiting yourself, and you'll force you. It's not force. You'll encourage you in a rate. But to me, I keep on saying in my body and in my head, it's a charge, like a rate, this is the cost. The idea even of the word hard, 8, 1, 9, 5, 9, 4. The idea of being in this rate of extreme balance in order for you to be basically in this foundational space and rate within you. All right. I'm saying all this to say, a lot of you may have basically been waiting for the show up. You've been waiting for the presentation of your higher self. You've been waiting for that moment of connecting, that alignment to the rate of discernment. And a lot of the times you've already received it. It's just the space that you basically quiet down because it makes you uncomfortable. I wanted to share that. 848, 849. I wanted to share that because 321. Thank you, Spirit. 322. I wanted to share that because a lot of the times we don't know what it is that we're being called to do because we aren't aligning ourselves to be sensitive enough to perceive the voice when spoken. So we might quiet down the urges or even the divine clarity, depending on how Source speaks through you, that is coming to us because it requires something from us that we didn't believe that was an option. All right. Be at a rate to where you're comfortable enough being uncomfortable in the charge that you are basically being called forward for, because it's going to garner you the exact effect that you need. The alignment and the things that come afterward are always something that are rewarding to you that you never knew. Most of the time, you don't know to ask for them. You didn't remember that you wanted them sometimes even. But it'll be a connection that is necessary, even if it's not always immediate. When you're in creation, a lot of the times I recognize it takes time. It's not always immediate. But when it happens, it's so intricate. That's why a lot of the times you don't have to try to rush to get through something, because you recognize rushing sometimes takes longer. You get to take your time and be specific in the specifications because you recognize in representations of these steps, you're true in your authenticity by being you and being an embodiment. A lot of the times we don't have to try to move forward ahead and say, hey, this is the new me. This is where I'm at. We get to just, hey, this is where I'm at. This is where I feel like being at. This is where I'm at today. This is how I'm going to show up today. You know, sometimes I might be called to do the things that I don't want. Go online and share about this that you're going through. How are you feeling right now? Well, I don't feel that good because I don't like how I've been treated. You know, that's okay. How many of us have been at that rate? Right? But when we keep ourselves at this space of not doing the thing that we're being called to do because we fear what may come from doing the thing that makes us uncomfortable, we never actually figure out what the thing is that we were meant to do because we don't allow ourselves to do it, you know? So sometimes you might be in question of something that you already have the answer to because you aren't aligning yourself to that which you are by actually receiving you fully. Don't doubt, don't push back, don't quiet or silence you in quieting the things that are around you and environment of you that may not necessarily allow you or participate in, you know, honoring the fact that you get to be in full embodiment at this time. Soon you'll recognize with this veil that has been thinning, you know, with the sudden events of unexplainable happenings, right, that are going to start occurring, that it was always going to happen and occur. So regardless of how it transpires, just align yourself with you and start to lean in more to the voice that calls you to do the thing that is 100% uncomfortable because it's meant for you and you're going to love it. Okay, even if you don't know that you love it, even if you don't love the fact that you had to do what you had to do, okay, it's going to make sense in the end. That's confirmation. That's confirmation. 646. Peace. Like, share, comment, and share this with somebody else who may be at a rate to where they're trying to also work themselves through receiving the messages and clarity from themselves. Okay? I love y'all.